So today we're going to talk about a song called Eldest Daughter by Taylor Swift. And wait, I know, none of our business. However, that song has re-sparked the conversation about Black women and white women and this imaginary competition. And so the thumbnail says, Black women want to look like white women. And although I do not know the Black women who I have on this thumbnail, who is giving goddess, my God. The white woman I have here is Sydney Sweeney, and she is the one in the American Eagle commercial where you hear her say, genes are passed down from parents to offspring. My genes are blue, right? And it's supposed to be this kind of blonde haired, blue eyed, all American white kind of thing. And then you had Gap come out with their commercial featuring the song by Khalees Milkshake and an array of beautiful women from all different sorts of cultural backgrounds, just spanning the gamut of black to white, everything in between. So here are the lyrics of the Taylor Swift song. Those are not the lyrics. These are the lyrics. And in this photo, we have Travis Kelsey and Taylor Swift. And this looks to be their engagement photo. So these two are engaged. And on the side, we have a picture of Kayla Nicole and a picture of Meg the Stallion. We will talk about that in a minute, although I think the lyrics would make this self explanatory. The chorus to Eldest Daughter is, but I'm not a bad bitch, and this isn't savage, but I'm never gonna let you down. I'm never gonna leave you out. So many traitors, smooth operators, but I'm never gonna break that vow. I'm never gonna leave you now. So there are a few things that you should notice about this. Let's see. Reference to a bad bitch and a savage obviously gives Meg the Stallion, but also Travis Kelsey's ex, Kayla Nicole, who was in this picture. And here, let me give you some more Kayla Nicole. And I gotta like, don't hurt yourself looking at Kayla. Do not hurt yourself looking at Kayla Nicole. Now, this woman is beautiful and she's got that tiny waist. She's got that beautiful, supple skin. But this girl is a good 5'9", 5'10". She is a unit. She's about, what is she? Somewhere between 175 pounds and 200 pounds. Like, this woman is a unit. She was on a reality show called Special Forces, and you can YouTube the footage to see her carrying a large man, like a large grown man across her back, carrying him to safety and just doing all kind of special operations that even, like I said, even grown men couldn't handle. I believe she won the show or tied the show with another man. But I digress. This is the Kayla Nicole. She is Travis Kelsey's ex, the ex who apparently left him. I'm hearing that it was not mutual. I'm hearing that Kayla left him. And regardless of what happened, Travis is now with Taylor Swift. However, the reason I have Megan here is because the first person Travis Kelsey was looking for as soon as he was able, as soon as he was single and able, was Meg the Stallion. The first woman he went looking for after Kayla Nicole is Meg the Stallion. Look at these two women, because if I told you that was Meg on the yacht in the bikini, at first glance, you would believe me. Those are Meg's proportions. Meg started out her career a little bigger than this, but definitely since being with Clay Thompson, and they're such a precious couple. For them, I hope marriage and children, happily ever after. But if I told you that was just Meg in a different picture, you'd be like, oh, yeah. I mean, down to the skin color palette, Meg and Kayla Nicole, they're in the same bracket. They're in the same, like, as far as someone having a type and you liking a type of woman, they're the same type of women. They are both stallions. I am a very proud stallion as well, but this is not about me. I digress. Very much same skin color, hair texture, um, body measurements. Just, yeah. So when you hear this chorus, and I'm not Taylor and I can't play the music, but it's something to the effect of, but I'm not a bad bitch, and this isn't savage, but I'm never gonna let you down. I'm never gonna leave you out. So many traitors and smooth operator. So when I see in this, I'm sorry, because there is a very MAGA undercurrent to this entire body of work. But smooth operator definitely gives me, I mean, who was the first person to say that? That was Sade. And before I get into Sade, I just want to say that Taylor Swift has a fan base who are the Swifties who are like, oh my God, she is the queen of Easter eggs. So there's always something deeper to look for in her lyrics. And when people are saying these lyrics are anti-Black, they're like, oh, you're being too deep. And I'm just like, the whole fan base. I mean, it's like Eminem's, except Eminem had a reason, right? Eminem's fan base would like go through his lyrics with a fine tooth comb because the references, the cultural references, the double entendres, the puns, the plays on words are so much to the alliteration, the foreshadowing, the irony. Like so much would be going on in the lyrics, and that is consistent with hip hop. Most hip hop lyrics, like just listening to hip hop can be an overstimulating experience because there's just so much going on in terms of lyricism. And Taylor Swift writes, allegedly writes all of her own songs, and she's this great big lyricist. And there's always these double meanings in her songs. And so it surprises me that the fan base is now, well, they are divided actually, because there are some Swifties calling the entire body of work garbage, and other people saying, this song is absolutely racist. And then there's another song where she talks about, your onyx nights are over and I'm your opalite sky. If you're looking at stones, onyx is naturally occurring and it's black. If you're looking at stones, opalite is man made and it's white. It's this iridescent, kind of ethereal looking white rock. And onyx is black. So, in that other song that I don't have listed here, that I don't know the name of because why would I? Um, I've had several mutuals on TikTok kind of comb through the lyrics and are just like, what is this black and white comparison again? And then, of course, here you have savage, classy, bougie, ratchet, acting stupid. What's that? Like you have this savage word. Now, when you hear the word savage, there are two people that you think of: Robin Rihanna Fenty, because Savage X Fenty, and Meg the Stallion. Now, bad bitch, obviously Meg is going to come to mind, but black women in general, good looking black women in general, are probably going to come to mind. I don't think anyone thinks of anybody white when you say the word or the phrase bad bitch. I don't think you're thinking of anyone blonde haired, blue eyed, Sabrina Carpenter, even if she is one, right? Even if your favorite white beauty is a bad bitch, right? What is it? Michelle Pfeiffer, bad bitch, right? At least, when I was growing up. But you would never think of her when you hear that phrasing. You would think of Meg again. And so I feel like these are direct shots at Meg and at Kelsey. But in the larger scheme of things, because then she goes to that onyx versus opalite in another song, like it's just kind of anti Black. It's just sort of kind of absolutely directly anti Black. So in the song, I think she reads him a little bit, because here's a problem with Taylor and the curse with Taylor, really. And that is that all of her exes, and I mean, you could just go down a collage of them, they leave her and they go to be with Black or biracial women. The women are Black or partially Black every single time. Like there are a good 10 ex-boyfriends that span the width of her career, men she's written songs about, and things of that nature, that you go and you look at them today, there was a woman who was Black or biracial. And then you have Travis Kelsey, who that's all he's known to have been with. And it's not just Kayla Nicole as an ex, it's a number of exes. Like she wasn't the first Black girl. She wasn't some experiment. She wasn't some walk on the wild side. He has a preference. And of course, when he lost Kayla, he went looking for Meg. Meg didn't want to be found because Clay Thompson, period. Um, and I don't know if I've ever seen her give a white guy the time of day, but I wouldn't know what her racial, if she has or does not have a racial preference, so I'm not gonna go there. But this song has reignited some one-sided war, and it's always a one-sided war with Black Americans. I don't know what it is with Black Americans, with foundational, indigenous. We've been here. We built America. We're not from any island or, directly from any African continental country. There's always some kind of one-sided war with us. And so in these people's imagination, and these people who are non-black women, they think that black women want to be white women. Hence this, right? Hence this. Here's a comparison. And looking honestly at the screen, this black woman who is unambiguously black. That nose, that hair, that face, that skin, those proportions. That's not a girl who has, a biracial grandmother. That's a black woman with two black parents and four sets of black grandparents, whether she's African, Caribbean, Black American, or other. That woman is what how do they say, pure pure chocolate, not milk chocolate, straight dark chocolate. And then there's Sydney Sweeney. If I could look like one of these women, it would, without competition, it would not be Sydney Sweeney because I think Sydney's a beautiful girl, but she doesn't come to mind when I think of myself or my beauty aspirations. And I think it's that way with the majority of Black women because I've dealt with majority Black women and I'm part of the culture. And I was raised in the culture. There are so many young Black boys on TikTok who make themselves famous by approaching Black women and saying, what's the most beautiful feature do you think about, a white woman? And it's just like, oh, the Black woman will say something like, oh, I love the way that they love animals and, they're really good to pets and whatever. And he's like, well, don't you think that you should say their hair since you're always wearing their hair and this and this? And I'm like, I don't know of a black woman. I heard a rumor about Beyonce having two white girls in some European country on a strict diet because, every 13 years or something, she makes her own human hair wig. But that sounds as ridiculous as Oprah flying on her airplane just for donuts, So neither here nor there. But in general, I don't know a black woman who just wears white women's hair. It's always hair from Brazil or India or Malaysia, Venezuela. It's they I wish people knew how afraid of black people's hair that black women are in specific. I can't say this for black men. I can't say this for all black children, but for black women in specific, probably because we deal so much with hair. One of the things that we don't like to say out loud because it sounds anti white and it sounds racist is that oftentimes many of us are afraid of your hair. I've seen white family after white family, Asian family after Asian, hell, even East African families are like, how come the African Americans never get lice? How come it's never you guys? And it's like because that kind of thing terrifies us. You got families who got, the mom got dreads, the dad got natty dreads, the kids got starter locks, and they'd have to shave their heads bald, every last one of them. If, they didn't send their kids home for, some lice outbreak, people would be like, "Oh, truancy, you have these kids at home for something that is absolutely minor. It's not a big enough deal to be like, yeah, it's not a big enough deal to you." But I just put, even if you don't got dreads, it's like I just put $500 braids in this little girl's hair. What do you want me to do if she gets lice up in her head? Like, no, like my kids are coming home. Um, and so Black people have grown up with a fear. Many Black Americans, I'm not speaking for, please don't ever let me get you to thinking I'm speaking for Caribbean Black people or African Black people. I can't. maybe in some general things regarding like blackness, but like as far as my ethnic group is concerned, like I'm an indigenous Black American. Um, my cultural flag, red, black, gold. So I can't speak for an entire continent or groups outside of my ethnic group. And if you identify with this, let me know in the comment section. But it's like we actually have a fear. Like we get on the bus and we put on our hoodies or something, if we're going to fall asleep on the window or if we're going to lean our head on something because we're so afraid of where your heads have been. I saw lice in person maybe once or twice, and I still like my skin still crawls. The thought of so many living things crawling and eating in this person's scalp and being able to see it and seeing eggs and seeing like I sat above the it's like where a bus kind of rises. Anyhow, the point is we be nervous as hell. And I liken it to because it's not always racist, right? I liken it to black to white people getting out of the pool when black people get in, right? Our fear of white people's hair is similar to white people jumping out of the pool with us. And for the longest, I thought white people were just being racist, but they were like, nah, you guys leave a haze over the pool and it's gross. And I'm like, why would it be gross? Like, you're the ones who don't bathe. But when they explained it, I'm like, it made sense. They said there ends up being so much oil and moisturizer like whatever shea butters and lotions and body butters that we're using on our hair and all the conditioner that we put in our hair, especially if we're not wearing swim caps, all the conditioner we put in our hair, like, you can just almost see a film in the pool of, the bodies are obviously very clean, but your product from the rooter to the tutor, all they have on the sunscreen, and you got on your shea butter, you got on your body oil, you got on your, your deodorant, you got, if you're not wearing, I know if I and I don't get into pools anymore, but when I was taking swim lessons, I would either hop in the shower and get my hair completely wet before getting in the pool, or hop in the shower and then run uh, conditioner through my hair because I would be afraid that the chlorine was going to break my hair. I'd put conditioner in and then get in the pool and then get out and rinse everything out. But imagine I'm in a pool next to you and you see a film of conditioner next to me and you're like, ew, whatever that is just came off that woman's body and is coming close to me. I'm out of the pool. No, I do still think some of that stuff is racism. I mean, because you got all kind of stuff about segregated pools that's in our history. You have all kind of stuff about Lena Horne, I believe it was, who dipped her toe in a pool of a segregated hotel and they drained the entire thing because she put her toes in it or one singular toe in it. But when I heard someone break it down that way off of a Carnival cruise, that made sense to me. Like if I didn't belong to my culture and I didn't know what all that was, I still won't get into a pool just period. Like if it's not family owned, I just won't do it. Um but I understand that as an aversion. Does that make sense? So they have an aversion to how we clean and care for ourselves when it comes to us jumping in the pool with them, just like we have some kind of aversion to like, I don't necessarily want to play in your hair. Like, I'm low key like like I like I'm over here as a little, third grader, maybe playing in another black girl's hair or Asian girl's hair, mixed girl's hair, but I'm looking at you like, is it safe? And I don't know why that would offend anybody, especially when lice is so common. Um, when lice it's as common for them to get lice as it is for your dog to come up with fleas, right? And this isn't a comparison to a dog, god forbid. It's just a comparison to like an infestation that is like, oh, okay, or like dogs getting worms, or hell, sometimes kids get worms, right? Depending on what they're eating, what they're touching, hell, even adults can get it. Maybe that's the better comparison. I digress. The point is the conversation has come back up. And I have to say that when it comes to white beauties, I think black women especially, we don't often see beauty where white people see beauty in themselves. right? So we have the conversation about the blondes, the brunettes, the redheads, and the ravens. So white people think their strongest player, they think their excuse me, hardest hitter is a girl like Sydney Sweeney, and she's on the screen, right? Blonde hair, blue eyes, right? Her jeans are blue. She said so on the American Eagle. Hey, she's got blue eyes, blonde hair. And I've never seen black people sweat a blonde-haired, blue-eyed beauty. I mean, I'm sure there's some subset of really, uncle whatever ruckus type guys who that's their pinnacle of beauty or something, but I've not seen it in mass. What I have seen is the black people look at an Angelina Jolie or a Megan Fox and say, "Whoa, that's a beautiful woman." What I have seen is, black people who will look at a redhead in a green dress and be like, "Oh my God, I think that's the goddess Freya." Like what is that? Like, Meghan and Harry, like black people, we go back with the gingers, right? So it's just interesting to see what they call beauty among themselves, we're not necessarily checking for. I remember being in high school, and let me know in the comment section if you remember this too, how the way black girls would talk. And one of the things they'd be like, "Yeah, the pretty white girl was like blah, 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 blah." Do you ever remember that phrase? Like, nah, nah, it wasn't her, it was the pretty white girl. And it's like, well, are you saying all the other white girls are ugly? Like, why is she the pretty? It's like she's the only one we've found like that we think is attractive. Like it's like we don't know what the rest of you look like. You know how people be like, oh, all black people look alike, all Asians look alike, all white people look alike. People don't always see it for people outside of their culture. I remember having East African friends, and they would come and see my sister's kids, and one of them would cover his face because their faces bothered him. Now, to me, they're beautiful women, right? These East African women, but my nephew had never seen faces like theirs, and it startled him. And so, for damn near half an hour, he had his hands over his face until he couldn't hear their voices anymore, and he heard the door shut because he was that disturbed by their faces. I remember being at a mosque where I was taking this Asian baby, and anytime I reached for him, he would cry, and people were just like, "Well, what's that about?" And his mom was like, "Well, he's never seen a black person before. He, he, he's never seen a black person before." I had a Samoan baby that I'd never been around any Samoans kids before, and the baby kept reaching for me. And I'm just like, what the hell? I'm like, never seen anybody with this color before, have you? And the dad who was holding him was like, actually, his mom is your color. And I was like, oh, right. Like I felt so small. Because I had no idea what I was talking about. Right? And the point is, we all need to learn a lesson from that. Like sometimes you have no idea what you're talking about when you're just like, oh yeah, these black women are so jealous of blah blah blah. Oh, my blonde hair and blue eyes. Oh my God, my I'm so Taylor Swift with my blonde hair and blue eyes and narrow body. And it's just like we don't know how to place value on that. Like the black girls are on the internet crying about not being thick, honey. They crying about the pain of BBLs. They crying about butt shots. They're crying about putting on weight. They're crying about creatine and I can't eat enough whey protein shakes and blah blah blah. And I lost 15 pounds, in a week because I didn't hit the gym and blah blah. Like they're crying for curves. They're not looking to be twiggy. I believe that's the name of a model or some kind of you know famous white woman who is known for her small proportions. They're not trying to be Kate Moss. And forgive me if these names are a little dated, honey. I'm not paying attention these days. I'm a millennial. Um, but I call it a one-way beef because of this. And as a Black American, you know that this is part of your history. If your ancestors were enslaved on in the continental US, if your roots are Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, like you know what this is about. These are the Tion laws. Now, some people say Tion and some people say Tian. I'm probably just going to say Tian, but these are the Tian laws. And a Tian law, these were enacted in Louisiana in 1786, and it required women of African descent or any kind of Black Aborigine descent to cover their hair with a headscarf called a tignon, intended to suppress the visible beauty and social influence of Black women. Now, obviously, the law was met with defiance as these women transformed the mandated tians into elaborate artistic fashion statements and turning a tool of oppression into a symbol of beauty and identity. So, what does this mean? Especially because my roots are, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Carolinas, right? Those are my ancestral lands. But primarily and most recently Louisiana. Like, I can count back to my third or fourth generation of grandparents there in Louisiana, and then you go further, and that's where you get that Carolina, Mississippi, Alabama, right? But for the first set of 3 to 4 great grandparents, Louisiana. So you got a lot of Creoles there. You got a lot of Beyonce's mamas there. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of people who are mixed and who decided to only procreate with other mixed Black people. But what I'm trying to say is that French blood and that English blood was coming from men who were interested in Black women. They looked at the hair and they liked it, whether the girl was Black, Aborigine African, whether she was biracial, quadroon, octoroon. Um, and so these laws were basically to work like hijab. I know when I'm in hijab, like I look like a little mud duck. Like you can't tell me from, whatever. Like the main part of my beauty has been my hair and my body. Like I need my hair to frame my face, or I just kind of look kind of large. Large. I don't know. Like my hair it frames me. I know a lot of Black men. My sisters, phenotypically, are prettier than I am. Right? If you're looking at noses, eyes, lips, skin complexion, skin tone, skin color, whatever, they are more beautiful than I am. But because I have longer hair and I'm lighter than them, Black men have tended to prefer me. Now, if I'm in a room full of white men and my sisters walk in, nobody can see me. Nobody can see me because the preferences are different there, right? Uh, so we've not done this in the reverse, is what I'm trying to say. And you can't find this anywhere in history. You can't find this anywhere in history where, Black people, especially Black Americans, have done this in the reverse. Like, oh, cover your hair. You're too beautiful. You're too attractive. And we know from Louisiana culture that you had these kind of very sedity, very exclusive, highfalutin balls where white men would come and be introduced secretly to women of color who were, biracial or Black, whatever, from prominent Black families. And they would have marital arrangements that were unofficial. So you have a lot of Black women who would own, salons, homes, businesses because they had that unofficial marriage with a white suitor from New Orleans. So this is part of our history. We have that subjugation and suppression of Black women's beauty oftentimes, but you don't have that same thing going in the reverse. Um, there is a read, a good, nasty, dirty read. And by the way, I like Cardi B, and I know there are people who don't. Um, but I don't take issue with her. But she was saying this about Cardi B, right? She's like, Cardi B, you make such a big deal about, being Latina. And it's like you don't even have the thing about you that makes you an aspirational Latina. Like you were not an aspirational Latina as far as Black women are concerned. And that phrase is basically like, yeah, what if a Black woman really did see a Latina as a beauty standard or a standard to aspire to? It doesn't include you. That aesthetic doesn't include you. And I do think that aesthetic includes Hennessy, though. Hennessy, Cardi B's little sister. So what I put together here is aspirational Latinas, because who Azalea Banks ended up mentioning was Bernice Burgos, and this dark skinned woman on the screen is Bernice Burgos. She's Puerto Rican, right? She's Puerto Rican. Jocelyn Hernandez is also Puerto Rican. She called herself a Puerto Rican princess. You may recall her from 11 Hip Hop, and she'd be Stevie. You're not gonna see me back to these strip clubs, Stevie. I think she has that show on Zeus, the cabaret. These are aspirational Latinas. These are women who Black women have looked at and like, oh, I want to look like her. So what I included for myself was Marisol from Gullah Gullah Island and Taina. Taina was first made famous. I think she was in a, what's his name? The movie was called Life with Mikey. And she would say, "Some boys cookies light up my day." And it's supposed to be sunburst cookies light up my day. Anyhow, these were my aspirational Latinas, okay? And Marisol on Gullah Gullah Island, you can see her there in the kind of soccer player get up. What stood out to me about Marisol, she looks really light in this picture, but she on the show was closer to the color of Bernice Burgos. And what I liked about Marisol is that her hair is long like mine, but she's also tall like me and in the same color palette. Like she's back then, I don't know what color she is now because some people get lighter as they get older. But back then, her color palette was very much Kayla Nicole and Meg the Stallion. And I don't know why people think Meg is so dark because I've seen so many pictures of her where it's just like, "Boo, you medium brown to light brown, honey." Um, so Marisol was in a way, and she was taller than the rest of the kids on the cast. So all the kids are the same age, and she's just a giant. And that rang true for me, right? Because I would be the same age as other kids and just be, a whole head taller than them. I've been my height since elementary school. So I really had to, yeah. But I remember seeing Marisol and wanting to look like her. And I remember seeing Taina and wanting to look like her. And if you look at Taina, you see these very large cheekbones, you see that full nose, full lips, and you see on both of them what could be my dad is black. Does that make sense? That's the only real way to I know how to say that. You see on both of them where it's like, oh, one of my parents is black or one of my grandparents is black. What I'm saying is like when people start talking about racial jealousy and racial envy and racial who wants to look like who, that conversation by and large part does not include white women when it comes to black women. When it comes to who we want to look like, number one is ourselves, and I can't stress that enough. Number one is ourselves. So we might want to look like a tweaked version of ourselves or a tweaked version of a relative or a tweaked version of a black girl like, a Kelly Rowland, a Beyonce, a Latoya Latavia, whatever, something like that. The next thing is maybe somebody biracial. I'm not happy to say that, but I know that a lot of black girls have w I know growing up, I've known a lot of black girls who did wanna be mixed, but I never met a black girl who just wanted to be white. I mean, I'm sure they're out there somewhere. I'm just saying that it is such a rarity. It's such a rarity. And I would almost bet that there's a mental illness accompanying that. I would bet. I would put my money on there being a mental illness accompanying that because culturally it's just not how we're raised. Like we're raised with jet beauties of the week. We're raised with, Vanessa Williams and, Chaka Khan and Whitney Houston and TLC. So you had the girls of TLC, right? Everybody wanted to look like one of the girls of TLC when I was growing up in the 90s. So if you're a late 80s, early 90s baby, you can feel me on this. People either wanted to look like Left Eye, like T-Boz, or like Chili. I was one of the girls who wanted to look like Chili. I found out recently that Chili is like, I don't know, half Cambodian or something. I just thought she was a red Negro, whatever. But all the girls didn't want to look like Chili. And again, if you even look at Bernice Burgos and Marisol, like all the girls here, they look like Chili or Ananda Lewis. Like they're all in the same bracket of beauty, as it were. It's all a similar bracket. Okay. of beauty. I could as easily put Ananda Lewis up here and put Chili up here, and they would look like siblings to any one of these people. I know that the two in the middle seem a little lighter, but I mean, skin color variations in family. Plus, I think these are lights, camera, action photos that are making these women look a little lighter because Taina was surrounded with Black people on her show, and they all looked about the same color. Anyhow, I'm just being vulnerable and saying that because I love the way Azalea Banks put that, and I think that that does need to be a conversation because so many people are just like, "Oh, Black women are trying to look white," and I'm like, I think some Black women are going for racial ambiguity. I think some Black women are going for Black and, but I don't think anybody, as a group, none of us are going for I want to look white. None of us, and that's real. I don't know why that seemed so radical to some people who are just like, "Oh, you're trying to look like a white woman. You're trying to look like a white woman." I'm like, she might be trying to look like one of them beautiful ass Korean and Black girls. She might be trying to look like one of them Latinas, them Afro Latinas. But she might be doing some Evelyn Lozada. Even I mean, Evelyn is a horrible. Her anti-Black sentiments cannot be stressed enough, but, because of her look, I'm going to use her as an example, right? Because I remember growing up with Black girls who'd be like, "Yeah, I'm Dominican, and, it's just a light-skinned Black girl. It's just a light-skinned Black girl." But the thing is, unfortunately, I feel like Godfrey. It's not the same. It's not the same, Poppy. It's not the same. But a lot of Dominicans just look like light skinned Black people too. Again, there are those relationships with, the Caribbean islands and these islands being very close to America and people looking similarly, whatever. Not a big deal. But I'm just saying, this is never the conversation. This right here, her trying to look like her, the woman in Black trying to look like the woman in red, the Black woman trying to look like Sydney Sweeney, that's never the conversation that we're having. It's never the conversation that is happening in a Black hair salon, on a Black text thread, in a group chat, in DMs. It's never the conversation. Now this is a conversation. And I think this happens a lot, even with the hair texture choices that we choose when we get weaves. I think this happens. I wouldn't be able to say what percentage of the time because again, I'm from the Pacific Northwest where most people, Black people are mixed. Uh Louisiana is also very mixed as well, but like there's just not a whole lot of Black out here. Okay. So I can't speak for what is more common on the East Coast and in the Deep South, which is where the majority of Black people are. But this is never happening. Like these two girls, Megan and Kayla, trying to look like Taylor is never going to happen. You're never going to see them write a song, but I'm not a slim stick and I don't, look like chapstick. Like it's never going to happen. It does not happen. And if you have seen it, please tell me you have also seen mental illness because it's not part of our culture to compare ourselves to them. Now, I go back to what I said about the pretty white girl, right? How you would be in middle school or high school, and Black girls would be talking like, yeah, the white girl with the red hair said this and this and this. She wanted me to braid her hair, but I was like, whatever. I tried to charge her, and then the pretty white girl must have rolled her eyes because she's like, why are you going to charge her if she just gave you a like, these conversations that happen, and it's just like, well, why did that white girl get the name the pretty white girl? But this one was just, Vanessa or the redhead or whatever her name was. Because every now and then, and I feel like this happens in a lot of races where people don't, how do I say this? So the police, right? Let's talk about the police. The police are more easily able to identify and tell the difference between criminals within their ethnic group as opposed to outside of their ethnic group. So when Black comedians make jokes about all Black people looking alike to police to law enforcement, there is something to that, right? That's not a joke. I just got done listening to an Asian woman say all Hindi people look alike, all Black people look alike, and she can tell the difference between every single Asian group, and they absolutely don't look alike. when the rest of the world thinks Asian people look the most alike. Now, again, I'm from this Pacific Northwest, so it's very Asian here. Asian people are not a minority out here, and there's so many. I'm just because of where I'm placed, I'm so well versed that all Asians do not look alike to me. Not even close. But that's because of where I was raised. I'm sure if I was raised anywhere else where Asian people were not, they're not the majority, but they're not a minority either. Like when I went to the University of Washington, they were 22% of the entire university, and that's just student population. And I'm sure that has grown by now. So, but oftentimes when we're talking about a pretty white girl, it's because she has black features. And so what inspired me to talk about this was a white girl on she was a gorgeous girl. She was mad. She was just like, I'm so sick of every time a black woman is beautiful. You guys are saying, oh, she looks, she's only beautiful because she has Eurocentric features. But can you tell when a white woman is only beautiful because she has Afrocentric features? And then she put up a picture of a white model. She said, that's a black queen right there. She said, you give this woman a spray tan. That's a black queen right there. Like she looks, and the woman was a doll. She had a big old five head. You know how like the East Africans have the big Somali five head, the big Ethiopian forehead, and the narrow nose. Like she looked like she could have been like dead ass, like East African or Sudanese or something. If just gave her a spray tan. And she's like, you guys can always tell when it's a black woman, but can you tell when it's a white woman? She's like, "Do you know why we're injecting our lips? Do you know why we're buying these curves? Do you know why we're buying these cheekbones and shooting up our faces? We look more like who once we do that?" And so again, I've got Topanga in the top left corner, and again, my apologies because Topanga did treat the black girl who was on the show poorly. But I remember seeing Topanga and being like, "Oh my goodness, she's so beautiful." But it's like that was the biggest white girl on TV besides Six, who was on Blossom. I mean, just chunky, beautiful. I think her, Six, and DJ from Full House. Every other white girl was just narrow. But Topanga was curvy. She had all that thick, thick, thick hair. And although the picture of her here has her hair straight, many, many times they would texture her hair. They would crimp her hair so that her hair was very textured. And even in this picture, like she could be a biracial girl with her hair pressed out. I mean, if you look at that wide mid face, that fleshy nose and those full lips, strong jawline, big bones. Like even though she's thick, you can still see all that collarbone. That's like a girl with good bones, like heavy, big bones. Like she could pass for, my mom is mixed, my daddy black, my, whatever. A white parent and a this parent. My dad is, half Bahamian or something like that. Um, Angelina Jolie, I don't even think I have to say anything. Just the dimensions of her entire face. She did have a nose job. She did get her nose taken in. So these are not pictures of like, anyhow, the full lips, the full high, broad cheekbones, and those big old teeth scream, my daddy is black. My daddy is indigenous. My daddy is, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Powhatan, Creek, like some kind of indigenous black American. Like it just screams. But she's a white woman, right? Clearly a white woman. So all those big lips and big teeth, you know, she didn't get them from just whatever. Or even Carmen Electra, even the way that she's dressed in the blue, like this whole entire blue outfit, and the way that her hair is kind of clipped and pinned back, you could put all of this on Kelly Rowland and call it a 90s Destiny's Child look. So oftentimes when black people are looking at someone, and of course you have Kim Kardashian, um, who's been a beautiful girl, but black people didn't take notice of her until she started, sticking black features to herself. And the same thing happened with Kylie for double the proof. Um, she started sticking black features onto herself and hanging around black people. And it's like, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. But you see, we do that when we find features in you that look black. because we like the way that we look. Every now and then you pull the short stick, every now and then you it's not that you have black hair, it's that you have fine hair or brittle hair or, hard hair that has low porosity and won't get moisturized and you lament that. Or, maybe your nose is bigger on one side than it is on the other and it's lopsided and you resent that and you want a nose job. Or you want, maybe you're black and your lips didn't come out big at all and you resent the fact that you don't have a top lip. Just whatever happens, you want your lips bigger, whatever. But it's usually we find some black feature that we are lacking, and that's what we lament. Usually, I'm saying what is Black American culture wide, like countrywide, culture wide. Like this is what we do. It's never, oh my God, I just want to have a flat everything. I just want to be straight as a board. Um, you get back to even black men when they're with white women, that the white women tend to be big because black men tend to like big women. And I don't mean big by like egg shaped. I mean big by like, big thighs, broad hips, obviously buttocks tissue, um, fluffy, you know, whatever breast tissue. Like they tend to like women with curves. And that's another reason why it is said that black men do not touch kids at the rate that mainstream American men touch kids because black men are not attracted to kids because black men are attracted to curves. Now, me as a girl who got curves at 10, I can tell you about some adults who would say and try to do very inappropriate things with me. But again, I was this overgrown curvy kid. Like I looked like Meg in middle school. So it was never going to be, like this childish, thin, prepubescent kind of almost boyish body that Taylor has. I remember it was on the Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy something late night show where the two black guys are trying to help each other guess the answer. And one of the black guys goes, she got a real long back. And the other black guy goes, Taylor Swift. And he's like, yes, we won. Yes. And Charlize Theron, white, I don't know if she's white South African or what, she was sitting there like, what happened? And Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon, whatever his name was like trying to collect himself and walk away because, he hangs around enough black people to know that like that's how they describe her, as having a very long back because there's no curve. So for in our culture, it is an insult. It's an observation, but it is also an insult for you to have a very long back because they expect there to be a hump there, a bump there. And obviously, Travis Kelsey has her pulled in, but we've seen her stand straight on the Eras tour and whatever else. And it's like, it's not doing the Meg the Stallion, Kayla Nicole. And I think that's why she's lamenting in the song, but I'm not a bad bitch and this isn't savage, but I'm never gonna let you down. I'm never gonna leave you out. Like, but I'm not them. I know you like black girls. I know this is your preference and I'm not them, but whatever. But there's so many traders and smooth operators. This is so giving me white men and black women attack, the attack on the rise of this couple pairing because so many traders, so many race traders, smooth operators. The only person to ever sing about a smooth operator and make it stick was Sade. So traders and operators linking up, race traders and smooth operators linking up. Again, there are people like, oh, you're reading too deep into these things. But I'm just like, her fan base knows that, oh, she's the queen of Easter eggs and hiding things in songs, blah, blah, blah. And now it's like, oh, you're taking things too seriously. I'm like, well, the next song is about him being stuck in an onyx night, in a big black onyx night. And now he's got opalite skies with you, and you're going to be his opalite sky. So your past is black and your future is white, is what you're singing to Travis Kelsey. And then something about allegedly the estate of Michael Jackson is trying to sue Taylor Swift because she has a song called Wood, all about Travis's big peepee. That sounds like the Jackson 5, I Want You Back. Go figure. But anyhow, these are our slides. Just one more time, do not hurt yourself looking at that Kayla Nicole because she is a unit. She is a unit. Aspirational Latina, shout out to our Latina sisters. I'm very happy about this whole Bad Bunny thing coming up for the Super Bowl. And I would not care if he didn't say one word in English. If everything was in Espanol, I'd be like, arriba, okay? Um, it's never this. The question is, black women want to look white. It's never this. Sometimes they do. Sometimes black women do want to click other. Sometimes they might want to check other or both on a census, but they don't want to check white. It's not culturally accepted. Like maybe some black girl who grew up in a suburb far, far, far away from here, isolated, like sure, maybe that's how she feels and she also needs to see a doctor, but just in general, it's never this. It's never this. It's usually this, right? It's usually another black girl that we want to look like. Like if you ever see me in blonde hair, I'm only in blonde hair because of Beyonce and Ciara. And even Sierra don't wear that blonde all that much, but I like Sierra blonde and I like Beyonce blonde. It's never going to be her. It's never going to be her blonde that I'm looking for. So, as far as black women lamenting their looks and wanting to look like something, it's usually another sister, but every now and then it's an aspirational Latina. And the aspirational Latina is always Afro Latina or like mestizo. Like she's some kind of like either she's Afro Latina or she's Afro Latina indigenous with some, Spain heritage, but she's usually like not a white Latina. Like it's never Eva Longoria. Is Eva Longoria a beautiful woman? Yes. Is she aspirational for the black woman? No. You'll never hear a black woman saying she wishes like she wished she looked like Eva Longoria, even though she's beautiful. Black women do not want to look like Jennifer Lopez, right? That's another white Latina. There are white Latinas, there are black Latinas, there are mixed Latinas. It's usually a black or a mixed Latina that a black woman is like, okay, girl, yes, yes. Like even like Shakira, her being Colombian, right? Her being Colombian and her being um, Arab, Arab and Colombian. Now, if you look at her natural hair, Shakira's natural hair is just like a tad bit looser than mine. Like please go find pictures of that woman's natural hair when she is not blonde, when her hair is kind of like a wavy black. Her hair looks like mine. Not exactly like mine because her hair is like her natural hair gives like 3B, 3C, and I have a 3C for a combination of curls, but I digress. Let me know what you think about this because really it's almost as if Taylor Swift is just kind of soft launching her MAGA life. She's got another song on there called Good Thing I Like My Friends Canceled. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but I can infer. It's really looking like someone put the pressure on Taylor to go super white and super trad wife and super MAGA. She's got pictures with boys and exes, wearing swastikas and blood. And she was 20 dating a 17-year-old or 23 with an 18-year-old or both. Both. I believe there was a 17-year-old and an 18-year-old. I digress. It doesn't matter. Um, but I just want people to know that, like, lily white, blonde hair, blue eyes, like, those are your aspirations. They're not our aspirations, right? Because I've seen other groups, I've seen Indian women want the blonde hair and blue eyes. I've seen Arab women, I've seen Asian women want to be blonde hair, blue eyes, skinny. whatever. I've seen that happen. But in general, for the Black woman, obviously there are exceptions to every rule. But in general, please never assume a Black woman is like, because to us, those ain't even your best hitters. Those aren't even your best players. We're thinking, the white woman with the raven black hair is really beautiful, and, the redheads. And y'all literally coined the term redheaded stepchild because of how y'all treat redheads, right? How y'all treat, Harry and them, Prince Harry and his people, right? So we don't even have the same idea of what beauty looks like. Like we don't share a standard of beauty. And I do think the standard of beauty is changing. I do believe that it is becoming more international because a lot of standards of beauties are culturally specific, and then there are global standards of beauty, but people are looking for nyash. People are looking for curves now. It's just happening. People are looking for, I mean, I think in China, small lips are a good thing to have. Yeah, in China, there is plastic surgery to reduce lips. And also, it's a good thing to be, like, very pale there and very pale in Korea as well. Um, but in general, that global standard of beauty is getting a lot of color. It's getting a lot of color. And even if it didn't, like, Black people, we just even Sir Mix-a-Lot. During the '90s when everybody was a twig and everybody had, bulimia and anorexia, he was talking about baby got back, and I like my women like FloJo, and Jane Fonda ain't got a motor in the back of her Honda. My anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun. Right? Just talking about curves, talking about being, give me a sister. I can't resist her. Red beans and rice didn't miss her. Show me a Black woman who eat them carbs. She not on a diet. You can do side bends or sit-ups, but please don't lose that butt, right? So even with all of the Vogue and all of the whoever saying that, beanpole to the beanpole things in the magazine, you ain't it, Miss Thing, right? Our standard of beauty is just different. So this is not, you know, this lily white, blonde hair, blue eyed, pole thin. It's never been for us. It's never been our thing. And just to give you a picture comparison, this is me. Um, and these are my aspirational Latinas. So Bernice Burg, the two in the middle were my aspirational Latinas from childhood, but very much I follow Bernice Burgos and her chocolate self. And I mean, anytime I leave her a comment, I'm like, all I want to do is be you when I grow up. Okay, girl. Like I comment on her stuff. I'd be like, how am I you yet? And I wouldn't give a hell if she was Latina, if she was freaking Nigerian, if she was Black American. Like Bernice Burgos is just a beauty to me. And she'd be lying down about her age. I mean down about her age. Right? That woman has been 40 for 5 years. That woman has been 40 for 5 years. I'm like, girl, I remember you were 38 when I was 31, girl. Stop it. Like you are just be fine. Just be 50 and fine, girl. She's got two kids, she's a grandmother, and she's just bad as hell. Just blessed as hell. I don't know why the woman looks this way. Yes, she bought her titties. Yes, she got some booty injections, but I mean, the body is still the body. The face is the face card, Amex black card. Like it's still the stomach that snapped back after having all them kids. Like, well, it's only two kids, but still, two kids is enough. Hell, one kid is enough to give you some irreversible something, something. So she's just a beautiful chocolate drop. I'm here for it. Um, but I think if you're people that you think are beautiful or aspire to look something like you, that's healthy, that's okay. Um, Good lord, Kayla Nicole. That's all I gotta say is good lord, girl.